feel like singing one more song?
Amen.
All right. I'm just a little happy this morning.
Amen.
Don't you like falling in love? I remember way a long time ago, back when you first met your wife and your husband, you fell in love. I mean, don't you wish it was like that all the time? I mean, it should be like that all the time. So I better be careful.
Yeah.
Ain't it like that all the time? You remember why you fell in love? You remember what made you fall in love with him? Or made you fall in love with her? Y'all was on the phone all night. You hang up. No, you hang up. All right, 1, 2, 3. Hello? I love you. Remember that? Yeah, how good you felt when y'all was in love. Don't you want to feel that way about Christ? Shouldn't you feel that way about Christ? Why did you fall in love with your boyfriend or your girlfriend, your husband, wife? You fell in love with them because what they were doing for you, right? You fell in love with them because how they made you feel. Is that right? Maybe he wrote you a little poem and slid it in your notebook at school or in your locker or something. Girl, what did you wrote? So sensitive. Nancy, so sensitive. But you fell in love with them because of what they did for you, how they made you feel. But doesn't Christ do stuff for us all the time? Shouldn't you feel that way about him all the time? That's why the song says over and over and over again. He keeps blessing me over and over again. We forget about that. I'm getting to the sermon too quickly, but sometimes this is a key point, so write this down. Instead of worrying about what you haven't got blessed with, start celebrating what he's already blessed you with. Amen. He blesses us with so many things all the time. If you start looking at those things, you won't have time to worry about these other things. Let me stop. Hold on. Let me slow down. Good morning.
Good morning.
How's everybody doing? All right. We got some visitors in the house. I want to welcome y'all here. Now, when my sister and I were kids, we was acting up in the house, when we had company come over, we had to be best kids on the block. So we got company, y'all, so y'all sing a little bit loud, get some more amens.
Right.
All right? We want to welcome y'all here to the Lakeside Church of Christ. We're a small church, but we're a big family. Amen. We love to come into the house of the Lord. Amen.
Right.
Amen. This morning, I'm going to talk to y'all a little bit about something I did yesterday. I was asked to speak at a nursing home. As a favor for a coworker of mine. I never did that before. And she said, you need to, well, she didn't say you need to. She said, I would like for you to speak on something that would inspire them a little bit. That kind of threw me a little. I said, how do you inspire people that are in a nursing home? A lot of these people feel like they've been left and abandoned and no one cares about them. And, it's sad to say that some of the nursing homes aren't the best places to be sometimes. Being a nurse myself, I've worked in a nursing home. I can tell you this. Care that they need to get isn't always given, and that's unfortunate. So when I got a task like that to inspire that group of people, I wasn't sure what to say, and I asked a few people for some advice, and then about 3 o'clock in the morning yesterday, it came to me, and I said, you know what? When I think of nursing homes, my mom used to make us, we called it the old folks home back in the day, but she used to make us go there after church. I always saw people sitting around doing puzzles. Look at these people doing puzzles all day. So when I think of nursing homes, I think of puzzles. When I thought about that made me think of something about when I was growing up. One of the best memories I've ever had growing up was doing puzzles with my granddad. And with me and my cousins in the summertime, we'd all stay over there and we'd be outside ripping and running. We'd come in the house, my granddad would be sitting there on that, one of those old card tables that you get from Walmart. They didn't have Walmart back then, I don't think. I don't know where they came from before that. But, the ones with the 4 legs, you got to fold, you always pinch your hand when you're trying to, somebody knows what I'm talking about? So he's sitting there at that card table, and he's, sitting there in his deep thought like this. We come in the house ripping and running, and he looks up, and uh-oh. He was waiting on it, because he said my name so hard. Robert! He said, he never enunciated my name the correct way. My name is Robert. Robert! He'd pull out this little chair sitting next to him, and that was kind of my invitation. All my other cousins are like, and they take off, they go. I'm the one that's trapped. But I like that because he didn't get too often to play with what we call Papa. We didn't get to play with Papa too often. That's like, oh, I get to sit with Papa. I'm sit down here and work on this puzzle with him. So I sit down there. He didn't say nothing. There's one thing about puzzles, it doesn't require a lot of talk. It's not a time to sit there and just have a lot of conversation. It's time to focus, right? You don't want to mess with Papa, or you don't want to break his concentration when he's doing his puzzles. But something else I noticed about puzzles is, have you ever opened up a box of a puzzle and saw some instructions? There ain't no instructions on it. I've seen some of these 3D puzzles and said, I don't mess with that. That's on a whole nother level, H&L as we call it. But the puzzles I grew up with, when you open the box up, there ain't nothing in there but a bunch of cardboard pieces of puzzle. Because you knew what to do with it. Right? Y'all remember back long time ago when you were at the daycare and they had that, my only one had this puzzle, it was 4 pieces, it had a cow, a duck, they had a cat and a dog. It was 4 pieces and it had little handles on them for you, little red handles so you could pick it up and put it in there. But you couldn't even talk yet. You couldn't even feed yourself, you couldn't even go to the bathroom on your own, but you knew in your mind how to put a puzzle together. Even at that young age, you knew that certain things belonged in a certain order. Puzzles don't require instructions. It's something fundamentally inherent about that. It's just instinctive on how to put a puzzle together. When my grandfather was teaching me these strategies, I still do them the same way. I still enjoy doing puzzles today, and I still use the same strategies that he taught me back then. But I realize now that I'm a little older and a little wiser that he just wasn't teaching me how to put a puzzle together. He was teaching me a little bit about life. Not too long ago, I came across a little poem. It says, everything I need to know about life, I learned from a jigsaw puzzle. And I was like, what in the world? I'm sure y'all seen those things about, I learned from kindergarten, I learned from whatever. This one was about a jigsaw puzzle. So what I did was I took about 5 or 6 lines from that. It's about 15 lines long. Y'all be mad at me if I did the whole thing. We'd be here till evening. But I took a couple lines from that, and I used that to talk to the people in the nursing home yesterday. And I was so excited about the reaction that I got. And some people, they brought them all in there on their wheelchairs. And they sat there and they lined them up. Some people didn't want to be there. One lady was very adamant. You kind of at the will of the nurse when you're in that chair, and she just wheeled her in there and sat her there. And then I was sitting up front, and the lady's like, "What am I doing here?" She said, "Oh, we're going to have a little Bible study." And she got up in that nurse's face. She said, "Take me to my room right now." And then she looked at me, and she went, "That's right." I was like, "Good morning." I was like, man, if this is how it's going to go, I don't know if I want to do this or not. But there's about 20, 25 people in there. And there was a couple who probably didn't even know they were in the room. But most of the people were coherent enough that they could understand what we were saying. And I sang a little bit, and then we got into the lesson. And they really enjoyed it. They were laughing. One of them laughed just like Brother Thomas and Sister Thomas. So just out of nowhere, I had said something, and I didn't get much of a reaction I thought it was, and out of nowhere I heard a, "Ha!" Just like that. I was like, hey, that's a little late, but I'll take it. But they were excited to see those people smile, because they weren't smiling when they brought them into that room. You can tell this is just them going through the motions every day of their life, just being wheeled around by somebody else. But once I started talking to them and they started smiling, I even got a couple of amens. Somebody was clapping their hands. I don't know if they were hearing music somewhere else or if they were clapping for me. But it made me feel really good that I was able to make those people feel a little bit better that day. And since I got that reaction, I said, you know what, that's what I'm going to use for tomorrow. So here we are today. And I'm going to throw a couple points at you real quick. I won't take too much of your time. The first one is, don't force a fit. If something is meant to be, it will come together naturally. I need Reggie or Brother Hall, get for me Philippians 4, verses 6 through 7. Now, how true is that in our relationships? How often do you find yourself, you got this piece of puzzle, and you got one piece here, and it looks something like this one that you've already got set in there, and you're trying to make it fit, and you're turning it this way, and you're turning it that way, you're flipping it upside down, you're trying to push it hard, it's not going in there. And it's obvious it's not going in there, but you're so frustrated because you can't find the other piece. You're like, I'm going to make this puzzle, I'm going to make this piece fit. Sometimes you end up bending the piece, cracking the piece, now you messed up the puzzle. Some of my little hard-headed cousins, they even cut the piece. Boy, when it comes to the end, you're going to have a piece missing. That piece don't go there. But why do we do that? Why do we try to force things in there that don't fit together? But we do the same thing with our relationships. You might be with a man or a woman, and you know he's not right for you. You know she's not right for you. But you want to do what? You want to settle. You want to hurry up and get this thing together, because all your girlfriends didn't got married already, right? You're the only one. Always they say, always the bridesmaid, never brides. How do they say it? I don't know. Brother Hall watches some shows. But you want to rush and get things together instead of, if you just be patient, right? If you're patient enough, somewhere in that pile of pieces of puzzle, that big stack of cardboard is what? There's a piece in there that's literally made for that piece you're trying to fit together. It fits together perfectly. But you got to be patient enough to wait on it. What's the scripture say?
Now Philippians 4,
Philippians 4, verse 6.
verse 6. Be careful for nothing, but in everything by prayer
Yes.
and supplication with thanksgiving. Let your requests be made known unto God.
Pray to God. Somebody said, if you're waiting on God to do something, He might be waiting on you to say something. Anybody ever heard that before? You got to be bold enough to tell God what you want. You know, Wednesday night I told y'all the story about my sister. He said, if you ask me for it, I'm going to give it to you. Some of us too proud to ask Him for it. Tell Him exactly what you want. I want Him to be 6'2", light skinned, you know, dress is nice. I don't know. I'm saying that might be what you're looking for. But tell Him exactly what you're looking for. I mean, why not? You want them to fit together first. This is supposed to be a union, right?
Amen.
This is supposed to be something that's supposed to last forever. This is a commitment. This is what God put together. Don't nothing make you mad than when you put a puzzle together and your little sister come and rip it up. You want the puzzle to last, right?
Amen.
All right. Second point. When things aren't going well, take a break. Everything will look different when you return. One brother's giving me Ephesians 4:26. Ephesians 4:26. One more time. When things aren't going well, take a break. Everything will look different when you return. Sometimes when we try to focus, we get what we call tunnel vision, right? You focus on this one thing. You don't see anything else. You don't see the big picture. You don't see nobody else. You don't see the kids. You focus on this one thing. I got to get this piece. And sometimes you get frustrated. Because things don't always work out exactly when you want them to happen, right? But what happens? So when that happens with me and my granddad, we love Kool-Aid. And I'm not talking about, you know, Kool-Aid that comes pre-sweetened. That's not Kool-Aid. I'm talking about Kool-Aid in the bag. You rip it open, pour it in there, and then we didn't measure the sugars. You just poured the sugar in there until it wouldn't stir no more, dissolve. That's what the sweetening up. You know, so we got up and we went to the ice box. That's what my granddad called the refrigerator for y'all young folks. We went to the ice box, got out a glass of Kool-Aid. We had to be careful because Grandma was tripping about us using glasses all the time. But we got a glass, sometimes we had to use a jar. Got some Kool-Aid and we sat back there like we had just finished cutting the grass or something and just sipped on that Kool-Aid for a little bit. Didn't say nothing, just drinking Kool-Aid. You know, you got a big old Kool-Aid smile, take a deep breath, walk back into the little dining room we're working on the puzzle, and now you see things a whole lot differently. You take a break, you calm down a little bit, got a little sugar in your tank. Can't really say that. You got a little sugar in your tank, and you sat down at the table. And now you're feeling good, right? Got a little bit more energy, you see everything again. You're not focusing on that one little piece. How many times do we get focused on one bad thing that happens, and we just can't figure out what we need to do to fix it? How can I fix this thing? How can I fix this thing? You just take a step back, and all you needed the whole time was a water break. What's the scripture say?
Be ye angry, and sin not.
That's right.
Let not the sun go down upon your wrath.
When you find yourself getting upset, when you find yourself getting frustrated to the point where you're ignoring everybody else, and you can't think about nothing but that bad thing, go take a Kool-Aid break. Everybody needs to have some Kool-Aid in the house. We had a Kool-Aid drawer. Never mind. All right. Next one. The creator of the puzzle gave you the picture of it as a God. Refer to the God often. 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 15, and chapter 3, verse 16. I can remember as soon as we opened the puzzle and we knocked out the pieces, the very next thing we did, they took the top part had a picture of what the puzzle was supposed to look like on it, right? So they take that part and he stand it up in the bottom part of the cardboard. You know what I'm talking about? And then we put that on the side where we're working now, so we can look at it for God. Now, can you imagine how hard it would be to put a puzzle together without the picture of what it looked like? I mean, I'm sure you can do it. I'm sure it can be done. But it'll probably take you 10 to 20 times longer because you don't know what you're building. All you know is you got to find a piece and maybe this piece goes there, but you don't know what it's supposed to look like. So we put that guide up there. We put that picture up there so you know, okay, over here I'm building flowers. You know, over here is a car, this is a house. You have some idea of what you're doing. You have to be able to, we said the puzzles don't have instructions, but there is a guide. There's a reference, right? You know how many pieces of furniture I messed up trying to put together without instructions? But what happened? You're like, I got it. I don't need this instructions, this piece of wood, I can do it. Man. You know, about 3 hours later, about 5 missing screws later. That's when them instructions at, girls. You throw them instructions. Now you gotta take everything back apart. You gotta lay it all back out, find the pieces you messed up, try to fix them. You're gonna call Walmart, hey, y'all give me a broken piece. But now you gotta get the instructions, right? Now you gotta look back, okay, step 1, oh yeah, I did do that part. Yeah, baby crib gonna fall apart. I'm not saying that's something I've done. But in the end, you always end up coming back to what? The instructions. Now, how much better would it have been if from the very beginning, from the jump, I would have read the instructions in the first place? What would I have saved myself? A whole lot of heartache, maybe a little bit of pride, a lot of time. My wife wouldn't be able to talk about me. All those things if I would have done from the instructions from the first beginning. What's the scripture say? 2 Timothy
2:15.
Yes.
Give diligence to present thyself approved unto God, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, handling aright the word of truth.
The Bible says you have to study it, right? We always carry our Bibles around. I mean, I got my iPad, you know, it's on there. So most of the time I'll have it if I need it. But you never know when you're going to need that word. And if somebody comes to you because your light is shining like it's supposed to, if somebody says, you must be a Christian. You're a Christian, right? How can I become a Christian? What made you become a Christian? You know, over here they're talking about I got to do this, but what do you say? What does the word say? If you don't got it on you, you got to have it in you, right? If you use the word, if you study the word, what does it say, diligently? You show yourself what? Approved. Because when they start talking to you and you don't know the scriptures like you should, those basic fundamental scriptures, it will become really obvious that you don't know what you're talking about. When you look at my crib, it becomes really obvious that I don't know how to build a crib. I had to go back to the instructions. But after I do it a couple times, I will learn how to do that on my own. If you stay in the Word, you will learn how to get those verses on your own. People will believe what it is you're saying because you're speaking with some kind of authority. What's the next verse? Chapter 3.
3 verse
3 verse 16.
Every scripture inspired of God is also profitable for teaching, for reproof, for correction, for instruction, which is in righteousness.
How powerful a statement is that? Every scripture, every word we read in that Bible is the word, is the breath of God. You know, you talk about you want some authority. You know, you can say, I believe this and this. Well, who said that? God said that. No, John Smith said that, whatever. We can say, God said this. And this is why it was true. We were talking about that this morning in Sunday school, talking about evolution and creation. Reference to God often. Number 4. Establish the border first. Boundaries give us a sense of security and order. One of the brothers get with me, Matthew chapter 7, 14. One of the first things we always did once we dumped those pieces out and we set up the picture so we could see it was we found what we call the end pieces. You know, that's the easiest thing to find. You start spreading out the pieces real quick. You might have 500 pieces, 1,000 pieces, I don't know, how many pieces, and you start finding all the pieces with that straight edge on them, right? Because that was the end pieces. You knew that was the border. We started straightening out that border first because that was the easiest thing to put together. And once you had that border established, now you had a foundation on which to build everything else. You know, you knew this corner was complete, and over here was the flowers, and you knew up here was the sky, and I hated the sky. I think the sky, the hardest thing, it's all blue, it's all one, never mind. So, you had the sky over here, you had the card over here, because you can look at the border and see that. The border gave you a guide and it gave you a foundation. Now, God gives us borders too. People in the world look at our borders as a restriction. Oh, you can't do this. You can't go out with us tonight. Oh, because you're a Christian, right? Or you can't do this because you're a Christian. Christians don't look at these borders as a restriction. Christians look at these borders as a guide. What's the scripture say?
Because straight is the gate,
Uh-huh.
and narrow is the way, which leadeth unto life, and few there be that find it.
It's a guide. If the goal is to build the picture, right, to complete the puzzle, you got to stay within the borders. If you're working outside the borders, you're not getting the picture built, right? You're not getting the puzzle done. You're over here doing what you want to do. That's not part of the picture. The goal is to build the picture. Now, the other thing that borders do is they provide what for us? Protection. I'm reminded of the story of Nehemiah. You guys remember Nehemiah? And they sent him back to Israel to help rebuild the walls. Why do they need the walls rebuilt? Because the walls keep out the bad people. And they keep in the good people. You have to have your borders established as a Christian. Because if you find yourself going in and out of the border, sometimes you might find yourself not coming back to the border. It's easy to get distracted, right? Like sometimes my cousins would come along and they would try to help out, but then their favorite cartoon pops up on the TV and they're gone. It bounces on you in a second. And then they want you to come and watch. Now, all of a sudden, y'all outside the borders, nobody's getting the work done no more. We're going to talk about that in the next one. Was that the last scripture we did? Number 5, this is a big one. Somebody did Haggai chapter 1, verses 1 through 15. Number 5 is work together with friends and family. Isn't it a lot funner to work on a puzzle with somebody? I mean, every now and then you need your quiet time, but when you got one of them 1,000-piece, 2,000-piece puzzles, you want some help. You know, you got your borders established, and sometimes I call my cousins in there, and what happens? We start strategizing. All right, you do the flowers, you do the sky, you do the car, you do the truck, and everybody's working on their thing. Right? Everybody's focused. We're trying to get this puzzle done. We're trying to impress Granddaddy. We can do a puzzle too, all by ourselves, and it was twice the size of yours. But everybody's working on this puzzle. Now, what happens when somebody gets distracted? What happens when somebody doesn't want to work on their piece no more? Because, I mean, as kids, we get distracted, right? A cartoon pops up, maybe you want to go outside and play football. Now, we was all together. We went in this thing together. We working as a team. We're working as a family. Now, all of a sudden, you left the flowers half done because you want to go outside and play. So now the rest of us are like, well, hold up. Now I got to stop what I'm doing. I'm over here working on the car. Now I got to work on your flowers. We ain't going to get things done as quickly as we could have. I don't even know what he was doing over here in the flowers. Rose petals all over the place. But now everybody's upset because now you didn't abandon us. Now we got to pick up your slack. Where does that happen today? Where does that happen today where somebody either gets distracted or they get mad and they just want to leave? Does that happen in church?
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Are we all putting together a puzzle? Are we all trying to put together one thing? Are we all part of one family?
That's right.
Then when you get mad, or you want to go do something else and you leave the family, now the family has to pick up the slack. You want to complain about church. Church folk complain so much about church. Guess what? Church is you.
Amen.
You're complaining about you.
Amen.
The song service ain't that good. Well, usually people complaining about song service ain't singing.
Amen.
If you look around,
All right.
if you can sing, go teach somebody how to sing.
Amen.
If your paycheck depended on you singing before they handed it to you, you'd be Luther Vandross up in there. The better you sing, the more you get. You be singing like crazy. It just shut you up. You're trying to sing overtime. 5 verses, chorus, 10 times. Or you come into church and you don't want to say nothing, but you'll complain about the singing. If you can teach, don't complain about the teaching. Teach other brothers how to teach.
Amen.
Instead of complaining about the church, what are you doing in the church?
Right.
Besides complaining. Who's got the scripture? Haggai, chapter 1, verse 1 through 15.
In the second year of Darius the king, in the 6th month, in the first day of the month, came the word of Jehovah by Haggai, the prophet unto Zerubbabel, the son of Shealtiel, governor of Judah, and to Joshua, the son of Jehozadak, the high priest, saying, Thus speaking Jehovah of hosts, saying, This people say, It is not the time for us to come, the time for Jehovah's house to be built. Then came the word of Jehovah by Haggai the prophet, saying, Is it a time for yourselves to dwell in your sealed houses, while this house lieth waste?
Okay, hold on. So let me give you a little bit of history real quick. So Haggai has been talked to by God. They were supposed to be rebuilding the temple. You remember the story, the temple got torn down in Jerusalem, and they've been there for 15 years now, and they haven't made any progress in building the temple, and God's upset. So he sends Haggai the prophet there to go help them, to motivate them to rebuild the temple. He said, look, y'all running around here in these luxurious houses. King James says sealed houses. But they're building up their own house, and they're not building up God's house like they're supposed to be. Think about that. How many, when you go home today, make a list of the top 5 things that take the most of your time. Top 5 things, whether it's your job, whether it's school, whatever it is. And then look at those things that you want to do that take up all your time, and then find out which one of those things God told you to do. Which ones did God tell you to do? Not just that He wants you, He told you to do it. Are any of those things in that list? We focus so much on our secular life that we start neglecting the Word, the church, the family. Imagine if you spend as much time at your job, the time you spend at your job, you spent working for God. How much could you get done? We were talking about that yesterday. I said, if I could sit in this church 8 hours a day and write sermons, I'd be banging some sermons out of here. But why can't I do that? Can I do that? Could we do that? What stops us from dedicating our time? Haggai said, y'all around here focused on building your own houses instead of building the Lord's house. So for 15 years, nothing got done building that temple. You know how long it took Haggai to get them people fired up? They built that temple in about 4 weeks. 4 weeks, they got it done, finished. 3 people on fire. Who's on fire for God here? What does it take for somebody to come in here and fire up everybody that's been sitting here not doing nothing to get up and start working for God? If they can build that temple in a few weeks, what can we do here in this community if we got fired up like that? It's all we can do to get people to come here that we talk to every single day. Back here in the first century, they made real sacrifices. Inviting somebody to church back then meant you got killed. We worried about maybe we might lose our job. When's the last time you heard somebody lost their job talking about church? We say it all the time, but I don't know nobody who lost their job talking about church. But should we even be worried about that? God says He's going to take care of you, right? One more point. There's a story I want to share with y'all. There's a man came home from work. He was real tired, long day at work. Came home, sat in his chair, the daddy's chair. He got his newspaper out. He's letting out his long, hard day sigh. And as soon as he opens up that paper, his little 5-year-old son comes running, jumps on his lap. Bam! Daddy, let's play. He really didn't want to be aggravated with him right now. Son, I'm really tired. Son, 5-year-old don't want to hear that. It's time to play. Daddy's home, it's time to play. So the daddy had an idea, and he's flipping through the paper, and there's something in there about the Sistine Chapel. Beautiful building. I think, what's his name? Michelangelo painted the ceiling. Gorgeous building. And what he did was he took some scissors and cut it out, and cut it into a bunch of pieces. Made a puzzle for him, right? He said, here you go, son. Go work on this puzzle, and then when you get done with that, we can play. So the son took off running in the room with his little tape and stuff. 5 minutes later, the boy came back. Dad thought he was going to be gone for 45 minutes an hour. He came back in 5 minutes. He's like, boy, how did you get that puzzle done so fast? And what the little boy said to him was, well, on the back of the paper was a picture of a little man, a little stick-figured man. And when you put the man together, the church came together by itself. Isn't that profound? If you work on the man, the church will come together by itself. Stop worrying about the church. The church God's got that. Christ got that. If you work on the man, everything else will come together. I have to share that story with you. Next one, almost done. Number 5, take time to often celebrate your successes, even little ones. Matthew chapter 6, verse 25 and 31. When you think about puzzles, probably the one word that you don't think about or associate with puzzles is the word excitement. There's not a lot of drama in puzzles, but let me tell you, if you find yourself doing a puzzle and there's one piece that's been eluding you for half an hour or an hour, you can't find that piece. Everybody's in there looking under the carpet, checking the vacuum cleaner. Where's this piece? Somebody, who took the piece? People get mad, calling names. But when you finally find that piece, and you put that piece in there and it connects, it's high five for everybody. People doing touchdown dances. Y'all might call it a day after finding that one piece. Everybody gets so excited. Isn't that crazy how that one little thing can just make your whole day? It's like a little victory. You found a little piece of cardboard that matched the other cardboard and put it together, but it made everybody happy. And you celebrated that one little thing. And that's what I started talking about when we first started talking here is when we look at blessings, we look at big things. We look at the houses, the cars, the jobs, whatever it may be, but we don't focus on the little things that he does every single day. We lose sight of them. What if you start focusing on those little things? What if you start focusing on, man, I made it to church today without an accident? When we leave here today, I got some greens on the stove. Right, Sister Easton? We finna go, the whole family, we finna go bowling today. You won't have nothing to worry about. What's the scripture say? You know the scripture, read it.
Matthew 6,
Yeah.
30,
25.
25? I'm sorry, brother.
You good?
Therefore I say unto you, take no thought for your life. Take no thought for your life, what you shall eat, or what you shall drink, or yet for your body. What shall you put on? Is not the life more than meat, and the body than raiment? Behold the fowls of the air, for they sow not, neither do they reap, nor gather them into barns. Yet